Hey, hi, hello there, and welcome to an episode of An Anthropologist Discusses Mr. Snowflake's Amberlynn Reed, Shaped by the Algorithm, which I think is a very good documentary on Amberlynn Reed. I've watched several over the years, and that includes a Megyan's, which I actually liked. And if this one is relatively successful, I might do a Megyan's as well. I don't know. He's not everyone's cup of tea, though they are both British. I like him. But much like Mr. Snowflake, I like him as well. I don't necessarily agree with everything they have to say. You can watch a creator and like someone's content without agreeing with every freaking word that comes out of their mouth. It's kind of what, being a logically thinking, critically thinking adult is about. But anyway, that being said, if Mr. Snowflake, if this series of me watching and discussing Mr. Snowflake's Amberlynn documentary, if this goes well, it will end up being a very long series because if you're new here, I talk a lot. I can take a 12-minute video and turn it into a minute or turn it into an hour and a half. And Mr. Snowflake's episodes are roughly about an hour. Some of them are a little bit longer each. So probably what's going to end up happening is either I will edit things as needed, but he doesn't really have a lot of dead space, or I will be breaking these up into smaller chunks. Because I don't want my episodes to be more than an hour. I know you guys like my long form content, but it's a pain in the ass to edit, really, is what it boils down to. So there's that. So anyway, I'm actually kind of excited to do this. I had this idea the other day. I'm really excited to do it because I really did like this series, and I like when Mr. Snowflake puts out new episodes in the series. So there's that. And yeah, and I put a post up on my community tab, and the majority, 80, almost 90% of y'all wanted me to do this, and everybody's comments have been pretty positive. So I'm stoked that you guys are stoked, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because this is going to be a labor of love here. A labor of love in the girl world. What? I'm not entirely sure what I'm saying there. I mean, I get it, but it's just the reality of that just kind of smacked me in the face for a minute. All right. Before we get into this, I want to thank all of my subscribers. I want to thank all of my members, and I want to thank everybody who's going to hit the like button. Ding. Also, I do want to say that I am an anthropologist by training. I am a retired archaeologist. I did archaeology for 20 years, give or take. And fun fact, recently I have re-injured the same shoulder that basically took me out of the field. So that's been fun. I feel like I'm just falling apart these days. Things to look forward to. I'm old. All right, anyway, enough of that. Thank you to everybody who is supporting this channel. I really do appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, you might as well subscribe, because we try to do a lot of fun stuff on this channel. And I've got some more ideas coming out. So there is all of that. And I don't really have anything else to do here. I'm going to watch this at time and a quarter, which is what I normally watch Amberlynn Reed at when I do direct reactions to hers, because Mr. Snowflake speaks in such a nice and paced way. I think I can speed it up without it being too fast if people speed me up, because I would watch me at time and a quarter too. But do I watch all of the videos I watch on YouTube at time and a quarter? No, some of them I watch at 2 times speed, because I'm that guy. You will notice that it is indeed spooky season that I'm starting this at, but I'm not doing a spooky season intro, and that's mainly because this is going to be a very long-running series, and I don't want it to be I want it to be timeless series, because it's someday, this is going to be the only way we're gonna see Amber, and Amber's just going to be a topic of discussion about, the history of Girl World and the history of YouTube and Girl World YouTube. So it's sad to say that as I do, but The reality of the situation is things like Mr. Snowflake's documentaries and my own reactions to them are a way of preserving a topic of discussion that I don't necessarily think it's like world-shatteringly important to keep track of, but I do think in the longer run of like YouTube and YouTube history and just like people's interactions with things like health at every size and fat acceptance and accountability of YouTube vloggers and that kind of thing. I think Amber is an interesting icon that kind of is the intersection of several different Venn diagrams on YouTube. So I think in the long run, this is a topic worth preserving because of various things. And I'll probably get into all of the reasons why as we watch this. So, you know, teaser, stick around. Spoilers. All right. Anyway, let's get into this. His stuff is so good.
My name's Amber Lynn, and I wanted to start a YouTube channel for weight loss. I see a lot of videos of other people doing it, and it's so motivating, and it's just something I'm really, really interested in doing.
Hey guys, so I know the video you guys got from me yesterday was a mukbang. I figured.
God, his stuff is so good. I'm not gonna lie. Man, I wish I knew how to do all this stuff.
We do another. So this is just rotisserie chicken. I'm just gonna dive right in.
I'm not gonna lie, I can kill a rotisserie chicken on my own. I don't, but I know I could if I wanted to. I hate watching her eat.
So I've actually been walking more, moving more. My breathing's been better. So I feel like I'm actually doing a lot better.
One of the interesting, I know we're not even through the intro yet. One of the interesting things that I'm expecting to see going through this is that Amber doesn't change. That is probably one of the biggest constants in Amberland, is that Amber doesn't change. And I mean, how many times have we seen her talk about how I'm moving more, my breathing's getting better, I'm more active, you guys, I'm walking, I'm doing exercise, you just don't see it because I'm not recording it. That's a very common narrative, and I think seeing Amber from the beginning onward, I think is going to be, it's going to make those things very evident.
My scale being out of whack and messing up. Someone suggested that I change the batteries. At the time, I thought it was a good idea, but my girlfriend pointed out that it's not messing up for her, it's not messing up for her dad, and it's not messing up for her mom. So it's just messing up for me.
We probably won't do the intro every video just because it's an easy place to chop out some time, basically. Even though his intros are very good.
Amber Lynn Reed is an American plus-size YouTube vlogger, known primarily for her weight loss journey and her mukbang videos. Her channel has close to 200,000 subscribers and over 120 million views. Sadly for Amber though, a lot of the attention she receives from the public these days is negative.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, in that case, someone get this gal a whole entire orchid because her knees are screaming for inpatient treatment.
Man, Tom Harlick's video on her was funny in a Schadenfreude kind of mean kind of way, but it was brutal as well. I think she tried to watch it and like, was it this one or Zachary Michael that she started crying? I think she started crying at both of them, honestly. And I don't blame her. I think if I were to watch something like that about myself, I think it would be kind of rough too. Because it's basically an unwanted roast. And it's one thing to go into a roast prepared to be roasted. It's another thing to be caught off guard by it entirely.
No, not fat shaming. Although we'll get to that.
That's what Megan.
That later.
Amber Lynn Reed was born the 27th of December 1990 in Key West, Florida, with the majority of her childhood spent in California, along with her two brothers.
How many of us
had substance abuse problems and were not always there for Amber and her.
How many of us have a baby picture of ourselves with a bow stuck to the top of our heads? Because I know I have several. The key takeaway here is that Amber has always been a chubby kid. Like, even, let's back this up a little bit. I mean, she's got a double chin here. And I know people are like, oh, babies are supposed to be chubby, you know, healthy babies are chubby. I think that's a myth that we've really kind of just stuck to. I think that's something from like way back in the day when it actually was a good thing for children to be plump. But this is not it, fam. This is overweight. This is an obese child. There's a difference between a healthy baby with a healthy amount of weight on it and an obese child. And this is not... Need to reverse myself. This is not the child's fault. All right. This is a failure within the family. And to be frank, baby with a bow and a tit. I'm sorry, it's still cute. This is adorable to me. But this is Amber's dad, and you can see someone in the background. That is, I'm assuming, another family member, probably one of her brothers. So it's evident that the family itself had bad food habits, had bad eating habits. And I mean, if you look at pictures of my family, we're not obese. I mean, we technically are. We're technically medically obese. But by today's standards, we're just kind of thick. And that's because, I mean, my family didn't have the worst eating habits on the planet. I mean, they could have been worse, trust me. But, you know, as a kid, you don't really have a whole lot of options about what you're going to eat. And if your family's feeding you a certain diet, and you don't see anything wrong with it either, because you're a kid, this is your family, they're feeding you. Also, Amber has, we'll get into it, but Amber has a lot more going against her than just bad food habits within the family. So
brothers like she wanted them to be. Very early on in her life, Amber had no choice but to be acting parents to her brothers.
I still remember one time in particular when my parents were on so many drugs that they were like passed out. My baby brother was crying and I wasn't sure why, so I went into the room of where they were, and it was because his crib was by a curtain and the curtain string was wrapped around his neck. I will never forget that day as long as I live. Even now it's emotional for me.
one of the things I will talk about a lot is Amber's body language, and I've actually started rewatching Shibby Pop's stuff, which I might do some reactions to Shibby Pop. I don't know, maybe. I say that. We'll see. Anyway, this story has always been a story that I've just blindly accepted from Amber, because she does this. This video would have been back when Amber very first started doing YouTube, which at the present is like a decade ago. So this would be what, we're in 2023. So this would be, I mean, if it's exactly a decade, it would be 2013. Anyway, this video is 10 years old, and this story about her rescuing her brother is a story that Amber sticks with. She's mentioned it even recently within the past year, if not twice within the past year. The problem is Amber's body language when she tells these stories. Now that I pay so much more attention to it because I'm doing my own analyses, anyway, my own analysis of Amber's stuff, I see the body language and the clusters within her body language, and I'm not saying the story isn't true, because it is a story that Amber has stuck with for a decade now. And the details don't tend to change very much. But even right now, she's telling us, oh, I'm getting emotional. And the only way that you see her get emotional is she will intentionally drop the tone of her voice and she'll look down. Now, for her, that might actually be showing emotion. And the reason I say that is most of the time when we see Amber show emotion, and it's not something catastrophic, like I'm sure we'll get to the cancer diagnosis later on in the videos. I'm 100% sure we do. she put a video out where she told us about her diagnosis, and she was a wreck. Just an absolute wreck in that video. Like, she couldn't even get a sentence out. Her breath was hitching so bad. I mean, it's like how you would expect somebody to react in that such a situation. But I think beyond that, when she cries and stuff, I don't think most of it is genuine, and I think most of it is rehearsed, and most of it is fake, for lack of a better term. And now that we're watching something that is like 10 years old, I'm seeing the exact same body language from 10 years ago that Amber displays today. And it's the same type of body language that would trigger me to think that something she's saying is deceptive. So there's something about this story that just has never set well with me. It's not that I don't think a young child can rescue another young child. I know from personal experience that can happen. Very young children are capable of making very adult decisions in emergency situations. It's incredibly impressive, and it gives me faith in humanity. This story by Amber, though, there's so many little like ticks that just make me question all of it. Okay. I do think the story might have happened, or something to the story is true. I'm just not entirely sure how much of it is actually true and how much of it is made up and is just something that she keeps repeating. Anyway.
His face was purple. He was screaming, crying, and to put it shortly, I had to save his life, and I did. And
it was deemed not safe for Amber to be around her parents, so at just 7 years old, she was
her hair is so much healthier back 10 years ago. Look how pretty her hair is. It's so full, and the color is really nice on it. Scoot in a little bit more. There we go. It's just healthier looking.
Taken into the foster care system, and after spending over a year in various foster homes, Amber received some truly heartbreaking news.
I found out that my brother was actually going to be an adopted child. He was going to be put in closed adoption, which meant I would never be allowed to see him again. It broke my heart, and it still does.
Amber would be thrown around different foster homes with her other brother, but even they would be separated for a few years. Depressed, confused, and lonely, Amber turned to food for comfort and began putting weight on at an alarming rate. By 12 years old, she already weighed around 290 pounds, and around that same time, Amber went back to live with her biological parents. Amber, as well as the courts, now believed that her parents were fit to look after her, but they
not entirely sure what she was talking about here. I'm sure it's more of the story of her. It's her origin story. This is one of the first times Amber's ever told her origin story, which is fine. I also think that this is probably the one time where it's the most truthful. But we get on Amber a lot for her preening behavior, and I don't want people to take away that what she's doing in this is preening behavior, because the story she's telling is very difficult. It would be difficult for anybody. And so this whole like bringing her hair over and retucking her hair. I mean, look how beautiful I am. She's not doing the same behaviors here that she does later on in life, where she's like constantly touching her hair, and she'll flip her hair, and she'll like make sure she'll look in the viewfinder to make sure she's gorgeous. That was a soothing behavior. That was it's not necessarily grooming. It was a soothing behavior. She's trying to soothe herself as she's telling this story. So I just want people to, I want to compare her early body language to her current body language. And I don't want people to be like, oh, see, she's always been preening herself. She does. This just wasn't one of those situations.
They were not. They were still using forbidden substances, and Amber herself picked up some of their habits. Smoking, drinking, hanging around with the wrong people. Her brother began acting out, and he even began attacking her. It wasn't long after rejoining her parents that they separated. Her mother moved in with her new boyfriend right down the street, and as for the father, Amber barely saw him. He was too busy with his friends, who were also using illegal substances. Amber stopped caring about almost everything at this time. She had lost any interest she had for school and stopped putting any effort in.
She's always done that lip licking thing too. That's not a new behavior either. And it might be... I'm watching this with like a freaking zoomed in lens. It looks like that lip licking behavior is something that she picked up because of those snake bites. I'm just going to call it. I've known lots of people that have had like mouth piercings, including like tongue piercings and lip piercings. And if you have something in your mouth or on your lip at all times, you have a tendency to play with it. So that's what I'm guessing is happening here. It looks like she developed that habit, that tongue habit of hers that she has. I over exaggerated it. But it looks like she picked that up while she had the snake bites because she's playing with them right now. And you can tell she is because you can see them moving. But it looks like that's a habit that she's carried forward into, 10 years down the road. Because she doesn't always have the snake bites. The snake bites come out. The little nose piercing, she's kept that forever, apparently.
She was already not the biggest lover of school, as the other kids knew her as Fat Amber and the Smelly Kid. When she turned 18, she moved to Oklahoma to be with some of her family, including her mother. She thought it would be a new beginning, but of course it didn't work out. While living in Oklahoma, Amber was in a long-distance relationship with a girl who lived in Arizona. And while in Arizona visiting her, Amber received a text from her mother telling her that Amber's grandmother didn't want her in the home anymore because she had had enough of her. So Amber stayed in Arizona with the girlfriend, although the girlfriend's mother was not happy about it, and neither was the mother's boyfriend. According to Amber, he even threatened to kill her at one point. Amber began to fall out of love with her girlfriend. She blamed a lot of that lost love on the girlfriend's family, who were making her life difficult. And she realized she should be with a girl named Crystal instead.
So I'm going to guess, just timeline-wise, the person we were discussing in that clip before we're getting to Crystal is an individual whose name is, I believe it's Casey now. Please correct me gently. But the former partner has transitioned and is no longer identifies as female. So we're going to be respectful here. However, the former partner and Amber, from what I understand, from my perspective, did not have a very healthy relationship in any way, shape, or form. And here's the problem with people that come out of broken homes, because I don't have a better way to describe Amber's home. Amber had an incredibly difficult childhood. I don't think most people will not argue with me on that one. I know there's a couple people who have gone into my comment section and kind of hinted at the fact that they don't actually believe any of Amber's childhood stories. And I don't agree with any of that. Not even a little bit. Amber's childhood, we may not know the exact details, and we probably never will know the exact details, and I don't really want to because I don't need to know them. Amber's had a bad childhood, and because of that bad upbringing, Amber is stuck in several different ruts. Now, Amber is an adult, but the time of our lives where we learn to deal with adversity and critically think and develop coping mechanisms and that kind of stuff, that happens in our childhood and our early in our teenage years and our early adulthood. And if we don't have good teachers, we tend to get stuck in mental loops that are not helpful. And until we as adults decide to, or figure that out, sometimes you don't even know you're stuck in that rut until someone goes, that's not normal. My poor therapist. Anyway, but it's that kind of a situation. Until you, the individual, go and get help for yourself, you're stuck, kind of a thing. And yes, Amber is that person. Amber is stuck. Amber will not go and get help. And the few times that she has gone to get help, she's not committed to it enough to get the benefit of that help. And therein is Amber's problem. However, going back to the first relationship, the partner before Crystal, that relationship, just from the text messages and the Facebook readings, and Mr. Snowflake's really gone back into Amber's past and done a lot of reading into Amber's past, reading her live journal post, reading her old Facebook posts, her there was a third one. Was it MySpace? We are old people. Let me put it to you that way. Anyway, he's gone back and he's read a lot of her social media posts from back when she was with the former partner and early with Crystal. And some of it is before she started doing YouTube, and then you can see the slight transition into YouTube. Amber wasn't always as big a channel as she is today. But I know a lot of people want to hate on what he reads and how he reads it, because, I mean, from the perspective of someone who had a mostly adjusted upbringing, it seems weird. And it seems like, why are you doing that? You're making such horrible decisions, yada, yada, yada. From the perspective of somebody who can relate to that kind of stuff, what I see is someone who was crying out desperately for help and not getting it, and also someone who was repeating the cycle of abuse that they were raised within. And that's why I think that first relationship, I don't think it's her first relationship ever, it's just the relationship before Crystal, why that relationship was so incredibly toxic for everyone involved, clearly. But it's also like the continuance of Amber's abandonment issues, Amber's control issues, Amber's bad decision making when it comes to relationship issues. And then we move on to Crystal. And I don't have anything against Crystal. I don't really know much about Crystal. I don't think there's a whole lot to know about Crystal in the Amberverse, except that this is the girlfriend that Amber was with when Amber started doing YouTube.
Amber and Crystal met online, and they would talk to one another. Amber first told Crystal that she was in love with her on the phone while sat outside a Dunkin' Donuts in the middle of the night. A few months later, Crystal and her mother came to visit Amber while Amber was still living with her girlfriend in Arizona. Of course, the girlfriend did not approve of this. And it wasn't long before Amber told her girlfriend that she was in love with Crystal. After Amber and her girlfriend got in a huge argument, Amber gave Crystal a call and got on a plane to be with her, which Crystal's parents paid for. They would go on to be the parents Amber had always dreamed of. They urged her to get healthy, helped her out with money, and helped her with anything else she needed. Finally, in that loving home she craved, Amber decided to make her first ever YouTube video. She uploaded the video in November of 2013, and it was titled Nervous plus Awkward plus Weight Loss Vlog. And Amber was clearly nervous, but she also seemed genuinely excited and motivated to document her weight loss journey.
I'll tell you what, man, the first time you make a video, I don't care who you are, the first time you make a video, it's really weird, especially when you go back to edit it, because you're watching yourself. And I know everybody's like, oh, YouTubers, they're all narcissists and they just love to hear themselves talk and they love to see themselves on camera. So yeah, it's kind of difficult the first time. And obviously it doesn't stop you. You get past it. But my point is, everyone's first video is garbage. It's just trash because you're nervous and you're quiet and you don't know how to edit yet and you don't know how to talk to the camera and all that good stuff. So pretty much anybody's first video on anybody's channel, if you go back and you watch it and compare it to especially when they've got 10 years of material, compare that first video to their latest video, it is going to be like two completely different people, just because they're hopefully more comfortable on camera 10 years from their first video than they would be the first time they're on video.
Hi, my name's Amber Lynn and I wanted to start a YouTube channel for...
What I like about this video, though, let's back this up just a smidge. Okay. This expression is an expression Amber still makes today, and the poop bun is in full swing. She does look a whole lot healthier. Her face is very pink compared to the rest of her body, but I think that's just the camera. Cameras weren't great. Cameras weren't great 10 years ago. Cameras were really crap 20 years ago. God, I remember my first digital camera. That's a story for another time. But, all right, so we've got this first face. Her eyes are over here. We've got this smile. She's happy to be on here, but she's nervous.
My name's
There was that lip lick.
Amber Lynn, and I wanted to start a YouTube channel for weight loss. I see a lot of videos of other people doing it, and it's so motivating. And
yeah, this is the beginning of Amber's channel, but it's also the beginning of Amber's mirroring and mimicking other content creators. One of Amber's biggest traits today is that she will copy other creators, not just verbatim, y'all. She will go and match the outfit and then copy something that she's watched from someone else's video or from a movie or from a television series. And here is the origin of it. Amber has watched other YouTubers who've been tracking their health journey online, and she wants to jump in and do it herself. No problem with that whatsoever. A lot of us get inspired. I myself was inspired by kicking geese to start doing this. So we've all got an inspiration that gets us on here, and then we try to put our own spin on it. Amber never really put her own spin on it. Amber just started borrowing from other creators, and I honestly think she started doing it early. Like, maybe not this very first video, but not too long after it. But let's keep going.
it's just something I'm really, really interested in doing. I'm not even sure what to say. I guess I just think it would really help me. I watch so many people who make videos, and they're so inspirational, and maybe I can be an inspiration for somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, she really wants to be an inspiration. She wants to be someone's reason for losing weight or someone's reason for getting better without being her own reason. Okay?
I'm not really doing this for other people. I'm more so doing it for myself. But if I can help somebody along.
Yeah, watch what she says. Let's see.
I'm not really doing this for other people.
She can't look at the camera dead on because she's lying about it. She really is doing it to get attention from other people.
Well, I'm more so doing it for myself. But if I can help somebody along the way,
then she would be really excited if she could do that, because that's the goal. The goal here is, the goal originally for her was to lose weight, I would assume, but was to create a channel to get attention. Okay? Everything else was secondary to that.
That's even better.
The timing made sense for Amber to start a new weight loss journey. She was in a safe place. She didn't have to worry about buying food, as Crystal's parents would pay for all of that, and she was in a loving relationship. It seemed the perfect time to finally get it right. I say finally because Amber had always been trying to lose weight, it seemed. Amber didn't get many views for her first video, but to the people that did watch, she came across very well. She was shy, sincere, and had a positive outlook for her upcoming journey.
I mean, if I had started watching Amber back when she first started posting her first videos, I would have been 10 years younger, and I honestly would have found them kind of boring, and I don't think I would have stuck with them. I wasn't ever really into weight loss content ever in general. I think I had like a 6-month period where I did. My point is that her content from the beginning was not something that I would have interacted with, but I know a lot of people were interacting with it at that point, so I mean, clearly she built a following.
And those small number of viewers that tuned in quickly got right behind her.
First off, I just want to thank everybody for your comments. They were very, very nice. It's very motivating and inspiring to see all these people trying to lose weight themselves, and it's just, thank you for watching my first video. It was a mess, and I'm sure my other videos will be too.
For her first weigh-in video, Amber came in at 368 pounds. To lose the weight, she would force herself to exercise. Force herself because she hated any form of exercise, but she was motivated and determined.
See, that looks really nice, camera-wise, the picture-wise. Now, as we go through this series, we're not this conversation that we're going to be having, we're not that concerned with her weight. We will be commenting on her physical appearance, in that the change the weight has upon her body, because I think that is going to be important to the overall story. We're not going to be going like, oh my god, her makeup looks like crap, I can't believe she wore that outfit, or at least I'm going to try not to, because sometimes I don't really like the clothes she picks out, but I'm sure people don't like the clothes I pick out sometimes. So but I'm more concerned about watching the evolution of Amber's personality, Amber's world, the Amberverse. And I'm interested in seeing, I'm also very interested in Mr. Snowflake's approach to Amber, starting from this first video compared to his most recent video, because Mr. Snowflake, in the past year and a half, has become, he's a full-on hater now, which is fine. That happens to most people who watch Amber. They start off being very supportive, and then something happens and they just lose all hope and swing to the other side. And it's a very common story. So I'm not slamming that, but it is interesting to me that the tone of his these videos, these Shaped by the Algorithm videos, actually changes drastically around the time that he joins the dark side. And I think that's very interesting too, because it's almost it's neat to watch it in real time. But anyway.
To finally lose the weight for herself and for those watching. So she began a daily squat challenge and showed us the healthy food she was eating.
And this is in it.
Jif whips.
Whipped peanut butter and chocolate mint. I love mint. I know this is probably not the healthiest thing, but coconut macaron ice cream.
Y'all, that's Haagen-Dazs. There's nothing healthy about this. Don't try to fool yourselves.
By Haagen-Dazs. So we just got back from Red Lobster, and I am legit like the bloatest bloat I've ever felt.
She has always made strange words. Bloatest bloat. It would be cute. And it was cute here if you didn't know Amber. Like, it's funny every now and then to use a weird word. Lord knows I do it. But, yeah, it gets worse.
No doubt because of the bad food she kept eating, Amber was struggling to get her journey off to a good start.
I plan to only eat 1,700 calories for this week, every day, besides Thanksgiving, and I already messed up. And today's only the first day.
Okay, so this is a very common thing with Amber, is this whole day one. She makes a plan. We didn't see the planning stage for this. I'm sure if I went back to this video and went to the videos before this video, there would have been Amber sitting down and explaining her plan to the audience, like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how many calories I'm going to eat, and yada, yada, yada. Because she does that. She doesn't do it as frequently anymore, but that was her MO. She would sit down, she would create a plan, she would explain it to the audience, and then day one, because that was always the day prior, day one, she would just completely screw up. And she would come online, and she's doing it. I mean, this is the first time she's done it, I guess. She comes online, she admits to screwing up, and then she tells us how bad she feels, and then she gives up on that plan. Instead of doing the thing that people who are successful do, where when they screw up, where they go, oops, I screwed up, let's not do that again. There's the horse. Let's get back on it. Amber screws up, falls off the horse, lays in the pile of mud, and goes, what can you do? I'm stuck, and doesn't get back up. And that's the difference between somebody who's going to succeed and somebody who's not going to succeed. You're going to fail. That's a universal truth. Death taxes failure. These things are going to happen. So what you do with that failure is the difference between success and not success. It's interesting to me that this cycle of planning, failing, not getting back on the horse starts so early. And it makes me wonder how long this cycle has actually existed in her life. And it would explain why Amber was a bad student. She even mentions that in her social media posts that, you know, she hates school. She's bad at it. When she goes to college, she doesn't do very well in college. She's constantly complaining about being in the few college classes she takes. I think she went to we'll get to it. I think she went to a community college. Nothing against community college. My best friend went to a community college, and she's one of the coolest people I know and does some of the best artwork I've ever seen. So, you know, community college is A-okay. But Amber never completed her community college. Therein lies the difference. So, but that's part of that planning, failing, not getting back on the horse cycle that Amber has. It's not even not getting back on the horse. It's just giving up on the plan altogether. So it's planning, failing, giving up on the plan altogether within a 28 to 48 hour period.
Last week I weighed in at 368.0. I weighed in today and I was actually up 3 pounds. I weighed in at 371.0. I can't even fathom.
It's interesting that we've been counting the point whatever pounds for 10 years. That's an Amberism. Amber is more concerned about the point whatever after the actual weight than she is about the actual pounds. Like, Amber's more concerned about 386.6 pounds. She's more concerned about that 0.6 than she is about the 386 pounds. Does that make sense? Anyway.
I can't even express. I'm shocked that I'm in the 370s again.
And she's always... Okay, so this is also interesting. So this is one of the first times she's telling us that she's failed to lose weight. And she doesn't actually look that sorry. She has that... All right, well, that's a good face. Sorry, I am the queen of the dirty paws. Okay, so here she's being very focused. She's not smiling. Sorry. Yeah, she's not smiling.
I can't even fathom. I can't even express. I'm shocked that
Yeah, but here we've got a little tiny bit of Duper's Delight starting, but her eyes are still
I'm in the
hidden.
370s again. I weighed in today, and when I saw the scale...
This is fake surprise. This is something she still does today. I know when she does this, I'm like, oh my God, there's a blank look. It is a blank look because this is her catching up. This is her catching up with her story mentally.
I wasn't going to do a weigh-in.
And see, she's got a little bit of a smile going on. Just the tiniest bit.
Video. I'm being 100% honest.
And there we're smiling
right
again.
Now, I was not going to do a weigh-in.
Yeah. It was really, really evident there. And the eyebrows.
Video.
I'm going to say this after saying I'm not going to comment on her physical appearance, but dude, her nose was so cute. She really did have like the cutest little like elvish nose. This is an adorable little nose. Sorry. She doesn't have that anymore.
I wasn't going to let myself. I was ashamed.
She's trying to convince us she's ashamed.
Disgusted. I'm shocked.
So she may have been struggling to follow a healthy diet, but what about her daily squat challenge?
See, if you didn't know what she was talking about here, you would think she's talking about something she's not here.
So
here. She's smiling.
She may have.
She looks, her eyes are even crinkled. She's smiling.
Struggling to follow a healthy diet, but
that look, that's a whole other look. That's a condescending look she uses
what about
today.
her daily squat challenge? How was she doing with that?
I started my squat challenge and I expected to finish it, but I had to stop. I did post a video about it.
And here she's trying to be very sincere. She's sincere, you guys. This is her thinking again. You always can tell she's thinking because of this. This look. First off, she usually looks off into the distance when she's doing it. And let's see, this is reversed, so that's her right-hand side. Yeah.
It has to do with my back, if you haven't seen.
No sooner than starting her squat challenge, she had given up. And healthy eating hadn't really got going either. It had barely been a few weeks since her first video, and she was disappointed and annoyed with herself for not following through with things.
Okay. So here's the cycle. She tells us she makes a plan. Squat challenge. I'm going to do squats every day. Doesn't even succeed the first day. Tells us how disappointed and disgusted she is. Gives up completely on the squat challenge. Not, oh, you guys, I suck. But tomorrow I'm going to do my squats. And then that day, or just even going like, hey, I felt myself slipping today, but I'm making this video where I'm telling you that I screwed up on my squats challenge. By the way, I'm going to set this camera down and go do my squats real fast. She wants to appear like she is self-aware, and she wants us to think that she's taking credit for herself, not credit, accountability for herself, and doesn't change, which is the opposite of accountability. And in my opinion, this is my opinion, if you are at a point where you can look at a camera for a video that you're planning to upload, so this is all a planned, conscious thing, because it's not like this automatically uploads to the internet. You got to edit this stuff and put it on the internet. If you have enough forethought or foresight to do that, you could at any point stop and be like, you know what? I got 20 minutes. I'm going to go do some squats. And then you can come back and be like, you guys, I was screwing up, but I realized that I was screwing up. And so I went and I did the thing that I said I was going to do. It's a little bit more difficult with eating because, if you eat like garbage through the first half of the day and then you're in the evening and you're like, the best I can do is have a healthy dinner, or at least a dinner on plan. Those are different, but at least you're still trying to correct within the same day that you're telling us that you're aware that you've slipped or weren't successful. Does that make sense to people? You're still trying to correct course, even though you're admitting that you got off course. Amber doesn't correct course. Amber just tells us that she's off course, pretends like she's going to take accountability for it, and then doesn't do anything. And this has been going on for 10 years, to the point where people who are not academics who study this kind of crap are able to sit down and write this crap out and be like, this is the cycle. I think the guy's name is Aaron. He created that in the very famous 4-phase cycle of Amber Lynn Reed. I think he did one for Foodie Beauty too. It's so blatant and evident that everyone but Amber sees it.
And she wasn't the only one.
This person coming at me is saying I'm making nothing but excuses. For me, if I'm emotionally going through a lot, losing weight is almost impossible. It's true. It's almost impossible for me to lose weight.
Okay, so we've started early on with my mentals make everything more difficult for me than they make for anybody else on the planet. So we're using that excuse. We've been using that excuse for 10 years without even shifting the excuse.
Currently, I'm going through a lot with my family, and it is the holidays, and I am not willing to beat myself up.
And the shifting of responsibility off of herself onto others. She doesn't say, I'm going through things with my family anymore. Actually, nowadays, she just says, you guys, I'm going through a lot. I don't want to talk about it, but you should know that in the background, I'm going through a lot. That's a very common, is this face, this lecture Lynn face. So we've been getting lectures for 10 years and they haven't changed. The things we're getting lectured for, we, the audience, the topics of them haven't changed in 10 years.
Only a person with my type of addiction, my type of struggles can understand what I am trying to say right now.
And that whole, I am unique, I am the only one who understands, no one else on this planet has a food addiction, no one else on this planet has depression, no one else on this planet has had a shitty childhood, no one else on this planet can judge me because I am a unique and special snowflake that is unlike anyone else on the planet. We've been doing that for 10 years too. So
Clearly flustered by the one comment she received on one of her videos, Amber now told her audience that her goal all along.
And the fixating on negative comments versus positive comments has happened for 10 years. Now, going back to Mr. Snowflake reading Amber's social media, Amber has always fixated on negative social media comments even as far back as her live journal days. So it's again, it's really, this is actually kind of cool and fascinating to me. I don't think everybody else is, I don't think everyone's going to think of this, but I think it's really interesting watching this because it's fascinating to me that this Amber is the same Amber. There's no change. Nothing has changed. Words may have changed slightly, and we will discuss her shift of accents, which she does frequently. Pretty much anytime Amber gets a new girlfriend, her accent changes completely. I mean, you can hear her talking right now. She doesn't even have the Valley Girl, that Valley Girl accent that she does, which had me convinced she was from California. It was so authentic. And her language here is just, it's actually pretty milk toast Midwest, that perfect accentless Midwestern accent that the Midwest used to be pretty famous for. Don't come at me. It's a real thing. There's also the Midwestern twang, which is what most people think of when they think of the Midwest. I can't help you there. I have that accent. But yeah, so we've got this very neutral way of talking, very neutral accent here. It will change. I don't know how fast it will. I don't know when it changes, but it will change and we will hear it and I will point it out when it happens. But we also have the exact same excuses for 10 years. That's just fascinating to me. 10 years of your life is documented. You can go back at any point because she's not deleted many videos. I know there's some she's taken down, but for the most part, all of her videos are still up on her channel. And she never self-reflects enough, never even goes back far enough in her catalog to realize that she never changes. I have kept personal written journals for as long as I have been writing, I guess. I wouldn't call the things I did when I was a small child a journal, but if I got to the point where I would go, I mean, I always go back and read my journals. I always try to go back and like see what I was doing on this day 5-10 years ago, that kind of stuff. And when I realized that I was doing and complaining and bitching about the same stuff every freaking year, I was like, nah, we got to do something about that. Okay? And that's a moment of self-realization that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't keep track of these things. Amber has it on video and never goes back and goes, holy crap, you guys, it's the same thing every year. Nada. Zip, zero, zilch. No self-awareness, even though all of the tools are there.
Was to actually maintain her weight until 2014. That's when the real weight loss journey would begin. Apparently, the end of 2013 was all about maintaining her current weight.
Remember, she started these videos in November, so it's not like she was, in her defense, it's not like these first set of videos were happening over a year's worth of time. She started in November of 2013. So you got November, then you got December, and then you got January. Those are like, personally, if you're going to start a weight loss journey or a health journey, I really feel like November and December are probably the absolute worst months to choose to do that. With maybe the exception of like Easter or, right before Halloween, only because these are, you start the winter holidays on Thanksgiving, which I don't know anybody who doesn't do a big meal or a fancy style meal for Thanksgiving. Even if you go out, you're still usually going out to a nicer restaurant or you're going someplace special specifically for the holiday. At least here in the States. Sorry, I should specify that. Thanksgiving is a Northern American thing. Well, it's not even Northern American. It's just United States thing. Look at me being ethnocentric. The school system trained me well. Anyway, so Thanksgiving for us starts our winter holidays. And Thanksgiving is a feast holiday, regardless of the whole genesis of Thanksgiving. Modern Thanksgiving, it's not a religious holiday for most people. It's a holiday where you have shit tons of food and you binge Everybody just comes over to somebody's house and they just eat. It's known for being an eating holiday. All right. Politics of it aside, we can discuss those in another video. But that starts our winter holidays. We start with Thanksgiving. It begins the shopping holidays. People don't tend to eat well from Thanksgiving until Christmas, which also being a holy holiday, high holy holiday, it also is a big feasting holiday. Mostly people come together. They have some kind of fancy meal. They have some kind of large meal, and they eat and they eat and they eat. You know, and if it really was just, you know, those 2 days, which are roughly a month apart, they're like, one of them is the beginning of the month and Thanksgiving begins the month, Christmas ends the month. It's like really only 30 days in between usually. And then we have New Year's, and New Year's isn't necessarily a big feast holiday, but it is a big party holiday. So there's a lot of drinking. There's a lot of like little hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. And oh, it's the holiday, you know, it's you know, it's the new year, the new me. So this day I'm going to just go all out because it's the last day I can do this kind of a thing. I cannot think of a worse time of the year to start a diet or a health journey. I literally cannot think of a worse time during the year to do that. So that's her only defense, in my opinion, for this.
When Amber did her very first weigh-in on her channel, she weighed in at 368 pounds. So with her new goal of maintaining that weight until 2014, how did she do?
But I stepped on the scale and saw 377.0, and my first reaction was, what? That can't be right. That's a flaw.
So even with her new goal of maintaining weight rather than lose any, she was not successful. Amber's audience were still very much on her side though, as many could relate with her struggles.
I mean, if I didn't know everything that I knew today and I was watching Amber from the beginning and this happened, well, it was like a 10-pound gain, almost a 10-pound gain for Amber. I would not have held it against her, honestly, because again, she started in November, right before Thanksgiving. So there's that.
And she promised us that 2014 would finally be her year. However,
you know, like everybody, new year, new me.
To a few, it seemed like she was already getting in her excuses in case she failed.
But I've been having this issue. My fear is extra skin, and it is haunting me bad lately because I feel like I really, really, truly can reach my goal this year, but I have this fear of extra skin, and sometimes I think I would rather be big than have extra skin. I just wish I could lose weight and not have extra skin. That's just how I wish it is, but it's not.
It's interesting that she's always been concerned about the extra skin and the shift in her appearance. For someone who outwardly appears to not care much for their actual physical appearance, Amber is incredibly vain. I know it seems like a paradox, but it's very true. Amber has certain physical characteristics that she cares about more than others. She also modern Amber does not understand how big she is. I think modern Amber, 2023 Amber, thinks that she is as big as 2013 Amber, which was almost 400 pounds difference. Okay. So that is my thought. Everybody says she has reverse body dysmorphia. I am not capable of diagnosing, nor am I saying that she does, but she clearly does not see herself at her full weight, which I've been watching a lot of 600-pound life, and that seems to be pretty common, honestly. It seems like once you get to a certain point, you just go blind to it, and you just don't realize how big you actually are. If you don't watch the channel Shaun of Steel, I go watch Shaun of Steel. He's actually really cool. But he's a guy that was 600 pounds, got weight loss surgery. And I think in his most recent video, he mentioned he was down to under 300 for the first time in his life. So props. But he also mentions that, you know, like once you get past a certain weight, you just stop tracking and you don't realize how big you are. And you look the same every day. So, you know. So yeah, that's just my thought on Amber's view of herself. I think she still thinks she's a svelte 300, but it is, and okay. Amber still thinks she's this svelte 300, and from 10 years ago, and 10 years ago, She was more concerned about what she would look like after she lost weight than she was with losing weight. This here is the origin of Amber not truly wanting to lose weight. Amber wants to be an inspiration, and she wants the ass pats for trying, but I don't think, even from the beginning, I don't think Amber ever truly wanted to lose weight.
Despite the perhaps early excuses, Amber did have a New Year's resolution, the goal of losing 77 pounds by the end of 2014. 299.8 pounds was her target weight. Maybe it was her messing up so soon, maybe it was the fact that it was a new year. Whatever it was, something definitely seemed to have clicked for her.
So yesterday I did perfect. I did not eat over my calories whatsoever.
She's pretty proud of herself here. You can tell from her facial expression she's actually pretty happy about her successful
I'm very
day.
proud of myself, and I 374.0, which is a weight loss of 2.4. And yesterday I weighed in at 368.8, and today I weighed in at 367.2.
You can actually see how she's losing weight. Y'all, cats. Anyway, you can actually see in her face how she's losing weight, because Amber always loses her weight first in her face, and she always loses it first in her neck. So from like here up. To be fair, though, we never really see the rest of her body that frequently, so she might lose it somewhere else, too, but we only ever get to see her from basically the shoulders up, for the most part. But she does lose weight in her face and her neck pretty quick.
So that is down 1.6. I am doing incredible. I just can't get over it. I really think I'm going to reach my goal.
Amber wasn't doing perfect by any means. She was still eating foods she knew she shouldn't have been eating, and not every weigh-in was a successful one. But she was definitely headed in the right direction. But when Amber did mess up and put a little weight on, there more often than not seemed to be a reason why it wasn't her fault.
I was upset yesterday.
See, I thought she might be talking about something really exciting, because watch
Not
as he
every
zooms
weigh-in was
out.
successful.
Her eyes have crinkled. She's got the smile crinkle. Her cheeks are up. She's got that smile going on. The only thing she's got going for her is her teeth are clamped, but that's really just the freeze frame.
But
see? She's smiling.
she was definitely headed in the right direction. But when
She's happy about something. I didn't realize she was telling us how she didn't succeed, because just from her facial expressions here, I would have thought this was something exciting and positive.
did mess up and put a little weight on, there more often than not seemed to be a reason why it wasn't her fault.
I was upset yesterday because the scale was messing up and it was confusing me and this and that. Someone suggested that I change the batteries. At the time, I thought it was a good idea, but my girlfriend pointed out that it's not messing up for her, it's not messing up for her dad, and it's not messing up for her mom.
And thus begins Amber's struggle with the scale. The scale is always against Amber. The scale is the problem. The scale itself, this unintelligent, inanimate object, is secretly plotting against Amber. Always, always. Works for everyone else perfectly, but never for Amber. It is fascinating to me, you guys. This is 10 years ago. 10 years ago. These are the same excuses she uses, like, within this year. She has blamed the scale for not giving her proper weight. She has fallen on and off a horse several times. I don't know why I keep going on horses, but she has started and stopped several plans within 48 hours throughout this year. It's stunning to me. Of course, this year was mostly the weight loss surgery storyline, but within that storyline, there were subplots which were starting and stopping various diets. Okay, we're going to pause here. My recording is at an hour and 10 minutes at this point. We have watched 16 minutes, give or take, of this first Shaped by the Algorithm, which is an hour and 10 minutes long. So I want to put this one out here. I want to see what you guys think about it. I will say, moving forward, probably going to do more editing. I'm not exactly sure exactly how long this first video is going to be, but it's probably going to be somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour, just knowing me. So I want to put this one out there, see what you guys think. Going forward, I'm either going to watch this at a higher speed or edit certain chunks out that I don't necessarily feel like are important to my overall observations. Because if I watch this minute for minute, I will be making these reactions for probably another decade. Because he's not even done with this series yet. I think it's up to episode 14. And I know that's not the most recent. Or did he finally get up to the wifey era? I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Since this is the Snowflake series, go ahead and leave a snowflake or a snowman or something snow related down in the emoji section. I think that's just going to be kind of fun every once in a while to just go into the comment section and be like, it's winter. So go ahead and do that and leave a comment. Let me know what else you would, as we go forward in the series, let me know what else you guys would like me to focus on. I don't guarantee I'll focus on everybody's topics, but I would like to know what you guys would like to see. And yeah, let's do that. This first 16 minutes of this video was really just the introduction to Amber. I suspect things will go faster from here on once we've established the storyline and the characters and all that good stuff. I feel like the videos will pick up some and there will be more things that I can be like, not necessarily a topic that's that's important to our conversation. And I'd rather focus on this section, yada, 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 that kind of thing. Will my videos continue to be forever long? Probably. So strap in for the long haul. And as far as this part that we've watched already, I am ridiculously fascinated. I'm sorry. I'm actually vaguely excited about it. Just how little Amber has changed. Like, it's the groundwork for the character is set within the first 2 months of Amber's YouTube channel, which is, remember, it started in November around near Thanksgiving and goes until, well, the 1st of 2014. So that those 2 months ish of Amber's channel, we've established body language that is still used today in deceptive ways. We've established tone. We've already been scolded once by Lecture Lynn. We've established that Amber focuses almost exclusively on negative comments, even when there are positive comments that she could be looking at. We've established Amber's plan, fail, give up on plan cycle. We've established that her plans don't usually last longer than 48 hours. Maybe, 72 hours is 3 days? Yeah, something like that. So let's see, what else have we established? Oh, we've established that when she fails, it's usually someone or something else's fault. We've established that whole, like, I am a unique snowflake. No one else is as special and as me. Therefore, my problems are different than everyone else's, and you don't have a right to judge me. We've started that. You guys, this is within the first 2 months of her channel. That's just, these are the exact same arguments, same behavioral patterns, same body language for 10 years. The same lack of self-awareness, the same lack of being critical of the self, and also, honestly, the same lack of self-support. She's constantly looking for support for herself and her decisions from outside of her own self. It's almost as if she doesn't trust herself to make and do these things, which, not a therapist, can't diagnose, just observations of my own personal opinions here. But if she really doesn't trust her own self to be making her own decisions and following through, then that really does explain, in my opinion, a lot of the failure cycle that Amber goes through. Is because even when she makes a plan, she already doesn't trust herself to follow through on her own plan. So that to me is kind of an interesting revelation to be having. But just in general, we haven't even made it into 2014 here. And everything Amber does, everything has already been established. The only thing we haven't done within these first 2 months yet is we haven't gone to the hospital and we haven't discussed health issues yet. And I think that's because early on she just didn't have many. Because she's only 10 years ago, she just turned 32, didn't she? Or is she turning 32 this year? She's a winter baby. She's like Christmas baby. Wow. So yeah, she was only 22, 23 in these early videos. That's funny. So I just want to wrap it up here for this first video. Again, as we're closing out, thank you to all of my supporters. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my members. You guys rock. Thank you to everybody who's going to hit the like button. Ding. If you've made it this far, you might as well subscribe. Just go ahead and subscribe. Just do yourself a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and put a snowflake or snow-related emoji down in the comment section. Be sure to leave a comment down there, especially something kind of like letting me know what you guys would like to discuss during this series, topic-wise, things you want me to focus on during this series. I have my own list, but I'm more than happy to adjust it, and no guarantees on everything, but I am willing to adjust things. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for sticking around. I think I've said everything I need to say, and I will see you all, hopefully, assuming you all like this, in the next one. Bye!